You are now watching Demeech.
There have been a ton of videos about modern SpongeBob recently. I feel like I've stepped back in a time machine to 2014, considering how many videos bashing the sponge have surfaced recently. I'm just hoping that we don't get an overdramatic ending after SpongeBob says, "I guess crying does solve your problems after all." But the thing is, these videos aren't retreading old ground. They're absolutely warranted. It's not like talking about how Sonic 06 is bad in the year 2024. This is something different, because after Sponge on the Run, SpongeBob has gone downhill again. But the reason why is totally different. What exactly makes a bad SpongeBob episode? What is the formula to make a nasty patty of an episode? In season 6 or 7, and a lot of season 8, it's due to flanderization of the characters. They're also made to be unlikable, and there's barely any comedy. Rather than being entertaining, it's more of an exercise in frustration to watch these episodes. Episodes like A Pal for Gary, One Course Meal, and Pet Sitter Pat instantly come to mind. But modern SpongeBob? It is bad because it's literally just another cartoon reliant on wacky faces, noises, and occasionally gross out. When I'm talking about modern SpongeBob now, we're not in 2014 because season 6 through 7, they're getting old. Oh man, I'm just getting chills thinking about it. I'm talking about most episodes after Sponge on the Run and the onslaught of spin-offs. You might have had parents hate SpongeBob because they saw it as nothing but obnoxious laughing and pure nonsense. Not nautical nonsense, pure nonsense. And essentially, this series has become a stereotype of what parents thought it was back when it began. These bad episodes really picked up starting with season 12, because SpongeBob did get good for a while after Sponge Out of Water, and even before with a lot of season 9. It seems that SpongeBob can only be bad post-first movie and post-Sponge on the Run. We all know the golden era consists of seasons 1 through 3. To be fair, I also love seasons 4 and 5, but something about the first 3 seasons, nearly every episode, is iconic. But I wanted to do something different. Instead of talking about a bad modern SpongeBob episode, I wanted to see if there is a truly bad episode from the golden era. There are episodes I'm not crazy about, like Neptune's spatula. Why the hell was Patrick's face on his butt throughout most of the episode? I want something bad, not down bad. It has to be I'm Was Stupid, right? Patrick is so mean-spirited and an absolute pat prick to SpongeBob. What he's doing is wrong, he knows it's wrong, but he's gonna do it anyway. Nah, that's actually a great episode. Seeing Patrick get so arrogant while still being an absolute dumbass is nothing short of hilarious. And the twist ending makes it even better. I feel that I'm Was Stupid only gets a bad rep because one YouTuber said it was bad, and then people just kind of agreed. This episode I'm talking about isn't a regular episode. The episode I found, and what I consider to be the worst episode out of the golden era, is a special episode, meaning that it airs so rarely, you may have never seen it, but considering how it turned out, maybe that's for the better. The worst episode of classic SpongeBob is none other than SpongeBob's House Party, also known as Party Pooper Pants. But just how bad could it be? Are we talking season 6 to 7 bad, modern bad, or Sandy movie bad? It's time to find out and take a look at the worst episode of classic SpongeBob. SpongeBob's House Party starts off like a typical SpongeBob special. It starts off with Patchy the Pirate hosting a party of his own. You gotta love the Patchy segments. They're so damn cheesy that they're hilarious. There is a very dark joke about Patchy almost ending a mermaid by popping the pool she needs for water. And King Neptune is even here. Wait, what? He's King Neptune? He's King Neptune? He's King Neptune? Are there any more King Neptunes I should know about? Okay, it's Poseidon. Same difference though. I gotta say, The Patchy segments are really funny. It has your classic Patchy versus Potty rivalry, where Potty wants to throw a party his way, but Patchy wants to do so in his way. It's a battle between the two, and it's pretty entertaining. I'd say the highlight is when Patchy performs his own song. It is so obnoxious, but it is exactly my kind of humor. Yo ho, yo ho, yo ho, yo ho, yo ho, yo ho. There's also a really funny joke about Patchy sending SpongeBob and Patrick invitations, but the ink washes off because it's a limitation of being underwater. So what better thing to do than to throw them in the underwater fire? Now that is a classic. The Patchy segments are good, and we're off to a really good start, but the real test is going to be the actual SpongeBob episode. It starts off with SpongeBob acting like an absolute maniac in the store getting groceries. I don't know why, but I used to do the same thing getting groceries when I was a teen. Just running through the grocery store and trying to get everything as fast as possible. Probably because I'm insane. But hey, at least I put my shopping cart away since I'm not a loser. He's actually trying to win a world record, and the cashier has had enough of it. He then has the cashier sign the book of
public records.
It's pretty funny how much of a deadbeat this cashier is, and there's a pretty funny joke where SpongeBob has a picture of him before and after meeting him. But something then catches SpongeBob's attention, the plan your own party kit. After leaving the bargain mart, SpongeBob decides to start preparing for a party. The intro is actually quite good. There are some typical SpongeBob gags, like SpongeBob inviting his closest friends, and one of them is someone he hasn't seen since kindergarten, and that friend was so impacted by SpongeBob, he moves after realizing SpongeBob's in his town. Why is everyone so mean to SpongeBob? It's not like he's mean to them. Wait a minute. There's some goofy SpongeBob humor here, like him putting deviled eggs into a piñata. I wouldn't say anything that funny, but entertaining. But then, SpongeBob shows Gary how he intricately planned the party, and that moment right there sets the tone for the entire episode. Guests start arriving to the party. It's a rare opportunity to showcase character dynamics we don't often see, considering that nearly everyone is here. But what this episode decided to do is this.
30 seconds past 8 o'clock. No, I'm doomed! No one's coming! I'm the worst host ever!
You got a glimpse of SpongeBob being irrational, overreacting when guests didn't show up exactly on time. Like arriving literal seconds late. But the moment SpongeBob gets angry and becomes a full-on D-bag is when Mr. Krabs and Patrick start having a conversation.
No, you dumb bunny, it says, "Hello, my name is Patrick."
Nice to meet you, Patrick.
Good one, Patrick.
Yeah.
What's going on here? The laughter isn't scheduled until 9:03. You want to throw a party? Do it at your house, Patrick.
That is the moment that kickstarts the entire tone of this episode.
I have you making light conversation with Mr. Krabs from 10:41 to 10:47. No! Let's try to stick to the schedule, shall we?
Everybody talks about SpongeBob's secret pet Scallop as the most unknown character, but the real unknown character is SpongeBob's bow tie, because whenever he wears it, he becomes an absolutely arrogant D-bag. One of the worst tropes for a SpongeBob episode are the Squidward torture episodes. It's not enjoyable to watch a character get annoyed or tormented for no reason. It comes across as annoying, and that is a great way to describe what SpongeBob's house party truly is. This really is an incredibly annoying episode. The main joke? SpongeBob's guests are having fun at the party, but because they're doing things outside of SpongeBob's planned schedule, SpongeBob then yells at them and does things like vacuum up cake after a guest eats it. SpongeBob is completely out of character. There's nothing wrong with SpongeBob becoming angry and getting out of character. One of the best episodes, Can You Spare a Dime, is exactly that. Part of what makes it such a memorable episode is how SpongeBob progressively gets more frustrated with Squidward taking advantage of his kindness, and eventually, he completely blows up on Squidward and Mr. Krabs. The reason why it works and why it's hilarious is because SpongeBob's anger was completely warranted. and it progressed from him gladly wanting to help Squidward, to annoyance, to frustration, and then rage. But in SpongeBob's house party, there's no build-up. He literally goes from happy to angry like that, and the breaking point is just Mr. Krabs and Patrick talking to each other and laughing. The joke is that SpongeBob is a perfectionist who doesn't know how to throw a party. That has potential for some jokes and scenarios, but the only one they go for is, the guests have fun, SpongeBob ruins the fun. Now this is a good use of the "quit having fun" meme. Considering this is a special episode, the main gimmick is seeing characters interact that usually wouldn't. You know what's interesting? The character interactions are really funny. There's a scene where Patrick straight up hits on Mrs. Puff.
So, do you come here often?
No.
That was hysterical. And even outside of those elusive interactions, all the characters besides SpongeBob are in character and are really entertaining. SpongeBob ends up getting locked out of his own house and then arrested because he didn't invite the cops to his party. Perhaps there was lean in the punch bowl? You'd usually feel bad for SpongeBob, but considering how he is in this episode, you don't feel bad for him at all. You're rooting it on. The episode ends with SpongeBob coming back and finding out the party was a success after Patrick told him. When it ended, I was a bit shocked how short it was. It really feels like an 11-minute episode, with the rest being patchy segments, and the finale being a song performed by the Bird Brains called Underwater Sun. I might get flack for this, but honestly, I'm not crazy about this song. It genuinely feels like something Nickelodeon would have requested to promote the series. Like they felt that SpongeBob needed a music video. It has a sort of corporate vibe to it that I can't exactly pinpoint, but you can probably kind of see what I mean. There are way better SpongeBob songs out there. It's not atrocious, but it's far from memorable. And there are a lot of scenes with the one-toothed SpongeBob? Weird. Yeah, maybe, no thanks. I'll stick to all the SpongeBobs and Glorb. SpongeBob's House Party is an agitating romp of SpongeBob being a jerk, repetition, and filler. But how would I have made it better? The main gimmick of SpongeBob's House Party is the party aspect. That can still be kept, but it needed to go beyond just being a house party. A plot could be something along the lines of this. Plankton starts throwing parties at the Chum Bucket, which surprisingly becomes successful, and everybody's going to the Chum Bucket. Mr. Krabs sees that success and tries throwing parties at the Krusty Krab, but because he's cheap, the parties reek like Krabbyland. SpongeBob and Squidward then team up to throw a good party, and Squidward surprisingly has knowledge in throwing parties. Despite Plankton's parties going well, he'd rather go about his ways to try to steal the formula during one of his. All goes wrong at the Chum Bucket, and that's when SpongeBob and Squidward announce that their party is happening. And it turns out amazing, and the episode still could end with Underwater Sun or another song. The highlight would still be the character interactions, so you'd have a more interesting plot in addition to the best aspect of SpongeBob's house party. As for the patchy segments, those can absolutely stay. I don't think my life would be the same if I never heard Scurvy Ain't for the Likes of Me. For better or for worse, I'll let you decide. I have been very critical about SpongeBob's house party, but it does have its fans. My good pal T&D actually enjoys it, and here's what he has to say.
SpongeBob's House Party, while not my favorite SpongeBob episode, a pretty funny one at that, and kind of underrated in my opinion. There's a lot of criticism saying that SpongeBob kind of acts like a jerk in this episode, but I feel like it's actually within his character. I don't think he's necessarily a jerk because he wants to be a jerk. I think he, in his mind, wants the party to go as smoothly as possible. He doesn't know how a party's supposed to go, so he's trying to follow it by the book. And that's where most of the comedy comes from. Everyone's trying to have a normal party, but SpongeBob's trying to be kind of the homewrecker here. And in kind of an ironic way, he gets kicked out of his own party, and as he's trying to get into his own party, gets arrested. So I think that, if anything, it's different from most SpongeBob episodes because he acts so different, but I think also acts completely in character. He's kind of naive, he doesn't really know what he's doing all the time, and it's actually really funny to see SpongeBob in these types of roles. That's why I like SpongeBob's House Party, and also the patchy segments are hilarious as usual.
Well said. Greatly stated considering that you're about to eat Billy Dogs next year. While I don't agree with you, I will say this. Despite how annoying and unlikable SpongeBob is, there are still a lot of funny moments. It's still a bad episode, but it can be funny. Not in the way like To Love a Patty, which is funny because of just how bad it is. The bad here is just bad. But think of it this way. Imagine playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder. You're in a state of pure joy, but the talking flowers keep interrupting by just being annoying, saying things like, "No, no, no! You were supposed to jump nearly 0.32 milliseconds ago! How could you?" Is it closer to season 6 through 7 bad, or modern bad? Technically, I would say closer to season 6 through 7, because a character being unlikable is the main problem. But it's more of a unique kind of bad, and that's probably because it's a Golden Era episode. But what we've learned today is that all that glitters is not gold. SpongeBob's House Party gets a 5 out of 10. I will say, it's not one of the worst episodes of the series, far from it, but considering it is the worst Golden Era episode, and just how freaking annoying SpongeBob is, that's why I rate it low. There are way better specials out there, and I just avoid this one unless you want to complete the series. I'm planning on doing more SpongeBob videos, and I'd love to know, what SpongeBob episodes and SpongeBob video games would you like me to review? Let me know in the comments, and keep calm and da-da on.